Now, I'm excited to introduce our next guest, Stephen Jones. Please, Stephen, feel free to come to the front. Uh, another man who has helped a large number of businesses implement AI strategies, AI technology. Someone who's kind of at the forefront of fighting to make it viable. Thank you very much, Stephen. I'm excited to hear insight and more about your work with Parsionate.
Well, great. So seems like you don't want to hear about Phil Connors. You have no options now. Well, I left off. He's a cynical TV weatherman from Pittsburgh, and he has to come around for the fourth time to Punxsutawney in Pennsylvania to report on the Groundhog Day. And so he and his producer Rita and his cameraman Larry come there a day before, and he's in no good mood. But basically, on the next day, he still hasn't changed his mood, and he's still not very well. So he just routinely gives his report and tries to get out of town as quickly as possible. Funny enough, he didn't predict a snowstorm coming around, which then led to him and his team not getting out of town, and he had to spend another night there. And the next day, he wakes up, alarm clocks rings, it's Sonny and Cher again at 6 a.m, and he seems like he's having a deja vu. But the thing is, everything's happened in the exact same order as the day before, and he now sees he's stuck in a time loop. So why am I telling you this story? I think that AI products will force companies to reorganize themselves and make a change, because we don't want to be stuck in this loop with projects again. And this is where we'll start off. This is so just to get an impression. 6 o'clock in the morning, that's Phil Connors waking up, so now you're in the scene. Why do typical data projects now fail? I think we've all heard this a million times. It's nothing new. I've heard from other people whose projects are failing. I'll put something up on the screen, and these are the reasons why they fail. And the funny thing is, although we know what's coming, we sometimes can't change anything, and the consequences are the same. It's frustration, waste of time and money, and ultimately project failure. So how did Phil cope with having to live through the same day every day? He first of all took the easy way out. He started manipulating stuff because he knew what was coming. He was able to get with girls, punish old acquaintances. He didn't even have to have any manners, so he can be drinking coffee straight from the pot. And he found his ways to get around. And I think in some sense, we did the same. We've changed data projects in several ways. Budgets are moving to the business departments, so they get exactly what they want. We're now doing agile projects. Great. We've got data governance initiatives, which try to help us bring some order into the chaos that is our data. But one thing, if you ask me, it's kind of just changing the outcome of Groundhog Day. We're not fighting the cause, we're just knowing what's coming and try to make things better. And as you might have noticed, it didn't go that well for Phil. You can see here, he's getting slapped over and over again. It isn't that nice online, I think, by Rita, because what happened, he fell for Rita. And no matter what he did and how he changed the day, he was never able to get with her. And back to our topic, it's the same thing with data projects. Although we are changing stuff, and I'm not saying it's wrong, these are good things to actually mitigate risks on your projects, but they're still failing, although we're trying. And this is especially true for AI projects. I think the first talk from today already mentioned it. More than half of the AI projects don't even make it to production. This is a tremendous number if you think about it. We're not able to get where we want to get right now if we're doing things the way we're doing them now. And the main difference between data projects and AI projects is, you've guessed it, one critical ingredient, the underlying data. I've done a lot of typical data projects myself. So if you're implementing software, You can just have a data quality initiative afterwards because the data was crap in the first place. You just put it into a new system. Great. But if you have bad data on AI projects, that often is the straw that breaks the camel's back. So if your data is rubbish, the project will be. And you can't get any further. And this is, again, you're stuck in the same day. So how does Phil actually resolve his problem? He fundamentally changes. He takes some advice from Rita, he gets help, and then has meaningful conversations. He actually tries to learn new things. He has more empathy for people. He tries to make their days better. He learns how to play the piano and even carve ice sculptures. And on his last day of the time loop, 2 minutes, okay. The last day on his time loop, he has a moving speech on Winter and Groundhog Day. So you see the change Phil made. And with this, I have a small anecdote from a project of mine right now. We have a customer in a DIY business, and he identified it's a great idea that we need to push our sales and cross services. Cross services in this case means actually they're regrinding or recalibrating the tools they've actually sold. And business attention, management attention, everything's there. Expectations are high. But it didn't take 1 or 2 weeks into the project, and we realized only 1 in 3 services after sales is actually recorded digitally. So we don't know who wanted the service, when he wanted it, and actually what is in it. Nevertheless, and we never know which items were. So here's the problem. Bad data kind of torpedoed the project right from the beginning. So now it's quite challenging to make something out of it, even though the expectations were high. And this is because the process in general on after-sales services wasn't thought through from a data perspective. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. We need to make changes just as Phil. And this changes in the mindset of the companies. I'd really like that everybody thinks in data. We need to think data and get to a place where we can just start with a new mindset and then having a comprehensive data strategy to fundamentally change the way we see our business. And with that, I would really encourage you to take the first step if you haven't done so already. If you have so, take the next steps and follow along your path. For me, AI, in the case of change, means fail fast and adapt, because this is what we do, right? We want to get to a place where things are better, and nevertheless, you will have to check your entire business and all the processes from start to finish and see if they're data ready. But if you do so, I can promise you, you'll kind of be like Phil, and you will get the girl you want, and you don't have to wake up at 6 in the morning to Sonny and Cher ever again. My name's Stephen. I'm the Director of AI Analytics at Parsionate. Thanks, guys, here for listening. Thank you, everyone online. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email or just approach me afterwards. It was a pleasure being here. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful simile with Groundhog Day. Beautiful story just in and of itself. Thank you very much for sharing, and thank you for sharing your experience. Does anybody have questions? No one? All right, I do have one question, and I think it's something that's in the minds of many of our listeners. And maybe it's more of a personal question, and that's, we've spoken about this fast-moving world of data, of AI, and specifically in a work environment like Berlin, which really is fast-moving, where this Groundhog Day repeats itself over and over, and is the reality of most people working in the field as it stands, who haven't implemented these changes. What is your personal advice on how to deal with this frustration?
I think you just need kind of resilience, because otherwise you're going to be left behind. I myself, I'm a mathematics student, and the first thing I learned was you have to be resilient. You're going to be failing over and over again. And this is what I said. You need to push through with the initiatives and really believe that what you're doing can work. And I think we've heard this times over again today. The future is in AI. But today, what I see in the market, if I talk to C whatever-os, they're not ready yet. They just want to see, oh, I've got a couple of thousand here. Can you show me something real quick? And then we'll take it from there. And this is due to lowering budgets all over and over again. And I think this is the hard thing to do, to take the risk and just take the step forward and say, I believe in the topic. And this is what I mean if I'm talking about the mind change, right? We can repeat that over and over again. But if our businesses in Germany don't get the message, conference like this is just going to disappear. So we need to get that message out there and take risks. And I think then if you make it, it will have great impact on the business of tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing the work and thank you for sharing. And as a little piece of advice to all developers, entrepreneurs out there, resilience. Be resilient. Thank you very much.